We got
Yeah,
five
we're good
this
there.
year.
One mic per table.
Okay.
Yeah, so every two. Yep.
In order?
Yep, they're in order left to right.
Okay, then you suggest something or something.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just going across some that with one minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not got one as of yet and you want to fill out a form with questions for our candidates tonight, you can do so at the door, grab it, and write down your questions, and then you can leave them at the door with Michelle or Neil, and we'll submit them for question period on the first session. Thank you.
Are these dials everything, or you need to change the point with the way now?
Can I make it?
Speaker only.
Did we get a chance to say?
Take a little higher. I thought so too. There, so gain down. No. This is we're talking about because it could be lines and difference. Maybe proposing.
Hey, guys.
Good time.
How's it going?
But Sean, you guys know that. He was just saying that it was a little bit too much about pickup. So what if the game is saying that the white on the hand, like it was just too much like the area, you know, like below it.
I just gotta stop hanging the mic.
Oh, Payne.
That's Kane.
Yeah, good guy. Hey, how are you? What's that? Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm doing sound and get some more people.
Are they all sitting outside there when they come in or what? There's a few.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right on. Right on, guys. We just keep telling people that let's see your jealous.
Yeah.
How are you?
Where are we sitting here?
Yeah, you betcha. Oh, you'll need to grab another chair there.
Who said that?
Some guy?
That's funny. You guys, that's awesome. Just taking your mouth.
He's shoving in your mouth and you're like, yeah, he's like, and he's like, what? Like, yeah, I'm like, he's like, ooh, coffee.
I got yours posse or what? Yeah, posse. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you really get that
What was I gonna say? Oh, I got your piece of paper you guys made last week. I got that. The only way that would it be is if that value is kept up. And so I let everybody know, hey, if anything else happens, it's going to be closed down. And it stopped. So, no need to worry. And if it was shut down, how are you? They put up a fence around it. There's a bit of security. Well, we can't tear it. That's like, oh yeah, like, so we paid $250,000 to put that puppy in. And then we'd have to spend money to pull it out. And then we'd have to spend money to build another one. So there's no way. They're not going to tear it down. But that doesn't mean... Yeah, no way.
Yeah, they're 10 years later.
Same guys built Whittier's built Sylvan. Same crew.
Ours is so much better, but I guess
They spent $1 million on theirs, and we spent $250,000 on ours. Yeah, but it took us 10 years to get $250,000.
If like,
So I want to let the candidates know some mics don't have, some mics do.
did you just hear Riley? Like, dude, Woodward's probably like 56 million.
Yeah.
Not for everything. Like, Woodward less than that.
You gotta think about the land, the ramps.
How are you?
It's not just the ramps. Yeah. You know, like it might be 10 million, 20 million. You know,
Not 57. Maybe 40 million.
She's right up here, so I can probably tap her for it.
My mom's turned moving up with they're trying to get has a sheds building, big barn.
all right. Sounds good.
Oh, I've got the agenda. I have the agenda. Yeah, nobody's
Lottery tickets?
Come on.
What's the cheapest? $6.49. $3. Here, $3.
There you go.
So yeah, when I do buy it, it's the cheapest one I can get. Forget the extra numbers that it why did I win the win? Okay, yeah. TV, I do the 50-50 rolls. Give me one. That's it. No, you want three? No, I don't want a string. Just give me one.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what
I don't want a
happened.
string.
She
Right,
yeah,
that's
that's right.
it. They're very
I was
bad.
like, no, it was like,
Some people, I don't know, between the snake and betting on
it actually
the
hurts like pushing.
football games, the baseball games. I saw this on this for you.
Jump over the truck.
All of it. To use the offer.
Giving away a lot of their money.
But then, yeah, it's pretty much, I don't know how to explain
Craziness.
Task for moments. Let's just
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm glad you guys are out here. It's a little, hoping the crowd just thickens up a little bit. See you. Good to see you guys.
Nice, but I think it's starting to come now. Even like 5 minutes.
It's on here actually. Each candidate 3 minutes to take their platform,
So I'll just wait for them.
1.5 minutes to respond.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Thoroughly good. I just knew I had it.
Yes.
Good. Okay, great.
Whatever though. You want it, you gotta go for it.
Yeah, well, we're very good at you know how she feels, so I'm sure that you're feeling the same way. But yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, we got about 7 minutes before we're going to be getting started this evening. The questions, the first session, the questions are going to be coming directly from you in written form. So you would have got a form as you came in. If you could fill that out, please, and make sure that it gets dropped off at the door there. We can go through the questions and they can be directed. And then, of course, after the break, the second session, we will be taking questions directly from the floor, and then you can direct them towards the candidate you're choosing. Thank you.
I want the binder though.
But every time someone else will pick a different color.
You can have all four. Can't have my black one. Yeah, I've got all kinds of others. I have a black one. I like this.
And I have no, I know you've got data control on yours. I don't. Just seeing it.
It's a collective. It's not a individual.
He's a friend, but I don't think he's so much I know him and Chelsea very well. And they're just nuts and all.
All right. I'll leave it at that. You guys may start writing some questions down for it. Is something you think you're proud of? Continue on. I always went that far from that salad.
Like an actual charge. I said I lied to you this time. But I'm about to die.
You're not about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, a 2-minute warning before we get started.
Great. You broke the cardinal rule.
I did. And as a DJ, I should know better. You notice? Yes. He tells me you're doing your job properly.
Well,
This call.
See you here? Yeah, between the oceans.
Yes, I will get you to stay.
Oh, okay.
or even in the middle.
I'm trying to choose it, right? For
Josh, yes. Thank you very much. Yeah, so far so good. Yeah, which office do you work at? Mobile Banker? Okay. Is that downtown?
No, right here.
Oh, it's the office in there. Okay. Who's got that? That guy was
Just an ask
the office in there. One in there.
I sent you an email with a little bio.
I did get that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. That's what you were looking for?
Say that.
Okay. Awesome. It's good to see you.
Next on to the next again.
Exactly. Awesome. Thanks.
Barefoot girl.
Hey guys, just ask. There's a camera here, so I want to put what's behind you. I want to make sure I get full view of the camera. You can just stand back.
Way to stand. Let's go.
Don't stand in front of the camera. Get out of the way.
I'm stuck in that door.
Oh yeah. You mean somebody just finds a little fire?
I know.
Lots of positive.
There's a point you're like, let's just do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, I agree. I want it. Thank you. Nice, man. Freaking sweet. I had about that. Great. So we did pretty good. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'm hoping we can have everybody take their seats. We're going to be getting started. Just wait for the last couple of people to walk through the door there. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to the 2013 Councillor Forum this evening. This is a delightful event. We've got a lot of candidates here who are eager and passionate to get started, I'm very sure. My name is Dwayne Stays. I am the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and on behalf of the Chamber and its executive board, we, as hosts, would like to welcome everybody, and we hope that everybody has an informative evening. There are a couple of quick thank yous I'd like to put out here before we get started. To the town of Sylvan Lake themselves, they were generous enough to donate the community hall for this event to the Chamber. If I could have you folks turn off their cell phones, please, while I can hear a cell phone ringing. We'd like to thank Mr. Sean McIntyre, who has generously donated his sound system and his time to manage the sound for us this evening as well. To the Sylvan Lake Alliance Church, who has generously donated the microphone for tonight's event so that we can come around and take questions from the crowd as well this evening. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our moderator this evening. His name is Terrence Cody. Terrence is a local with a local law firm, Roanoke Law Office, but he is also on our chamber board as well. So welcome, Terrence.
Thank you very much. Get this thing up here. And welcome to our Councillor Candidate Forum. I'm going to start this evening just by going through some of the basic agenda and rules that we're going to go through so we all understand the same ones. At 7:02 we start with me reading the rules and regulations. So we're going to introduce all the candidates alphabetically. Then each candidate will be given 3 minutes to state their platform. They drew lots just before we call order, so they'll be going according to those lots. Then we'll have a question and answer period with the questions that you've been filling out and handing in. And each candidate will, for their opening remarks, each candidate will have 3 minutes. And for the question and answer, the candidates will have 1.5 minutes. When the question comes up, we'll be randomly selecting one candidate to do a lead-off answer and then 2 others for that portion as well. So there's a slight change from what we thought earlier. They'll have 1.5 minutes to respond. At 8:25, we're going to take a very short break, 5 minutes. And then we will commence with the question and answer from the floor, where we'll be going around, or I will be going around, handing the microphone to individuals to ask a question of a candidate of their choice. And then again, I will select 2 other candidates to answer as well. Again, they'll have 1 minute each. And at the end, there will be a summary by the candidates, a 2-minute sort of summary of what they've said. And for that, we're going to go in reverse order from when we started. So if you drew 1 this time, you're first, and at the end, you'll be last. And then I'll be summing it up and letting all you good folks go home at about 9:30. Okay? So, our candidates, we are very fortunate here in Sylvan Lake to have 10 candidates seeking 6 positions. And if we start with the lady at my extreme left, is Megan Chernoff. Next to her is Neil Evans. Next to him is Charlie Everest, followed by Rick Grimson and Chris Lust, Graham Parsons, Jazz Payne, Dale Plant, Matt Preet, and Wendy Savageau. So, with our order of speaking, we're going to start with Rick, and then go to Megan. And with that, are our timekeepers ready? Okay. Rick, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'd like to begin by thanking the Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity for me to present my views to you to help you make an informed decision on who's going to form the next council on October 21st. In addition, I'd like to thank everyone here for coming out on a Friday night of a long weekend. I know there's other places I'd rather be. There's a number of things I'd like to talk about tonight, but time is limited. I'm going to talk about what I feel is important. First off, I believe that the water supply in Sylvan Lake should be a priority for the next council. If our municipal corporation is going to continue to grow and prosper as we want it to, we need to actively seek alternate sources of water to supply that demand. The town is a member of the Sylvan Lake Regional Water Commission, which is made up of 8 member municipalities, being the 2 counties, Red Deer and Lacombe, the town of Sylvan Lake, and 5 summer villages. The Commission has identified alternate sources of water that may be an option. The first one is that I find interesting is deep groundwater. Water that is in excess of 1,000 feet deep and has been identified as fossil water. Quantity is currently unknown and would most likely be expensive to produce. Going to the Red Deer River is probably the preferred option. However, securing the necessary water licenses, assembling the pipeline rights-of-way would be time-consuming and needs to be acted on now. A third option could be going to the Henday Water Plant, located near Innisfail. Again, the right-of-way assembly and licensing and the distance from the source is something that has to be resolved. Now, the Regional Commission is eligible for 90% funding from the province. leaving the remaining 10% responsibility of the 8 member municipalities. So it becomes very, very easily affordable, but it's a long drawn-out process to get to the end of the road. At the current rate of growth, which is 4 to 5% per year, we could reach our maximum supply by the year 2020. Now, in addition to the other hard services that the town provides, such as transportation, stormwater control, other considerations that I feel are important are the provision of leisure services to meet the needs of the demographic of our population. The town is, I'm running short. The town is currently in the process of planning a new multiplex to replace the existing arena, which is near the end of its useful life. Partnership opportunities with schools. Thank you.
Okay, before I move on to Megan, Rick, I'm afraid you were the guinea pig. If I can remind all the candidates to please hold the mic close so we can pick up your voice good and loud for everyone. So Megan, you're next.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for giving up your long weekend Friday evening to come and make an informed decision about your choice for the position of town councillor. My name is Megan Chernoff, and I have called Sylvan Lake home for the past 6 years. I was raised in a similar-sized town in British Columbia, but have many relatives that have lived here all their lives, so I remember visiting here as a child. From my early teen years, I've had 2 main interests. One was volunteering within my community, and one was politics. My dad has been he served the last number of years as a municipal councillor, and has always encouraged me to share my voice and my passion for our community. This is what brought me here today, and made me take the decision to run for a position on town council. After beginning my career with NMAX in the planning department in Calgary, I moved to Sylvan Lake a number of years ago to take on another position in marketing with a prominent Alberta business. A couple years after that, I made the decision to chart my own course and start my own small business. And for the past number of years, I've now been self-employed with a thriving marketing business. This allows me to donate all the time I desire to the town that I love. I actually quite commonly get this question around the community, what do you do? And many of you have heard me answer, I am a professional volunteer. This is where my passion is, and this is where my focus is. Through running my own business, I've learned the value of $1, and just how important it is to budget and to spend that money wisely, while having a great balance between our wants and our needs. I'm a strong believer of planning, so we can have a proactive approach to our future needs rather than a reactive approach. Well, in Sylvan Lake, I've been an active member of the town's Family Community Social Services or Support Services Board on the local level, and I'm also the elected regional representative up to the Alberta Association. I sit on the Municipal Planning Commission and have for the past number of years, along with various other boards. I volunteered as a member and past president of the Sylvan Lake Optimist Club. I'm also a Timbit soccer coach, which is 3 and 4-year-olds, lots of fun. And I volunteer with many events throughout the town, so you might have seen me at the Fall Festival, at Eco Loco, at Winterfest, at Shake the Lake. My involvement in the community to date is what's helped me stay well informed, and the reason I feel I can bring a fresh perspective to our town council. I believe my diverse volunteering and board experience has given me a uniquely balanced approach. I have a real passion for the social services world, but I also have an understanding for the need for planning and future development within our town. I'm interested, passionate, energetic, and care about making Sylvan Lake a place that I am proud to call my home. Thank you.
Graham Parsons.
Thank you, and welcome, everyone, for giving up your long weekend. That'll be the tagline you're hearing the whole day. My name is Graham Parsons, and I'm asking your support in my bid for second term on town council. My tagline is evolving, strategizing, and communicating. These are the three pillars of my platform. We live on the shores of one of Alberta's cleanest lakes, located in one of North America's most prosperous corridors. It's a great town on the threshold of great time. We're unique, and that is what attracts people not only to visit our town, but to live here. And with this comes growth and change. I embrace this change. I always have, and I always will. If managed properly, it means prosperity. Strategizing, that's planning. Managing the change. A community of this size has plans in place to do just that. Plans that are good for the whole community, not just my backyard. We have a strategic plan. We've been working on it for 4 years. We have a 10-year capital plan. We have a municipal development plan. These are all professional documents. They're also living, breathing documents that give us direction that we need to properly manage these changes. Living and breathing means that these documents can be changed and adjusted to the community needs. They are plans. They are a direction. But you have to know of these plans. Some way, the public has to know. Communicating. It seems that this would be very simple in the age of websites, email, Facebook, and Twitter. But it's been anything but. Even combined with the traditional print methods, the Sylvan News, or the pamphlets that everybody gives out. The coffee shop still wins. We did a communication study which, when implemented, will help. The best way of conveying this information is through public engagement. The more the people are part of the process, the easier it is to deliver the true, trusted messages and information. However, the people have to know about the forums, the open houses, gatherings where input is shared. After 3 years of learning the trade, managing and communicating the future properly, both fiscally and socially, are my priorities. Of course, there are others. Lots of them, but there are too many to mention here. So I realize that all of you are going to vote. So make the right choice, and hopefully you vote for me. Thank you.
Charlie Everest. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charlie Everest, and I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to come tonight, especially with it being the long Thanksgiving weekend. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. I am 47 years old and lived in Sylvan Lake for 13 years with my wife, Allison, of 21 years. We have 2 young and energetic boys, Liam and Rowan. Before moving to Sylvan Lake from British Columbia, I spent many years in the tourism management, enjoying both the beauty and lifestyle of several national parks. We researched many towns in central Alberta before relocating, but decided on Sylvan Lake as being close to the mountains, 2 major cities, and a beautiful lake felt like a natural fit for our active lifestyle. My wife and I work from home year-round, running a small property maintenance and management business. My background encompasses many areas of property operations, managing construction projects, designing and implementing preventive maintenance programs, managing urgent response teams, and overseeing general maintenance duties for the day-to-day operation of a variety of properties. In addition to our own business, I've also spent the last 10 years as general manager at the Wild Rapids Waterslide Park during the summer months. After hours, I enjoy many outdoor activities with my family, in particular skiing, cycling, and hiking. I am very involved in my children's lives and have enjoyed coaching my son's soccer team for the last 5 years. During my time in Sylvan Lake, I have enjoyed strong relationships with both the local business community and local residents, and I believe this gives me a strong and solid understanding of the needs, concerns, and important issues facing our local community. Over the past few years, our town has seen much expansion and development. Despite the recession of recent years, our population continues to grow fast, and as our tourism infrastructure issues are being addressed, will help being a wave of concern in our local community as to primary issues. If I were to have the privilege of sitting on council, my basic platform ideals would primarily address fiscal responsibility, responsibility for all our tax dollars, manager and expenditure thereof, professional and effective management of future town development, working with all facets of our community groups from daycare requirements through to addressing the needs of our seniors and hearing the voices of our youth groups and all citizens with needs and concerns. In closing, I think Sylvan Lake is a treasure in central Alberta. It is a great family and community-based town with careful planning and development and management. I hope our town will continue to thrive and become one of the most desirable and attractive communities in central Alberta. Neil Evans.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Neil Evans. I'm a Sylvan Lake resident of 16 years, happily married, and I'm purchasing manager at Smartech Systems as well as facilities manager. And my professional designation is I'm an electronic engineering technologist with a broadcast background. If elected to council, I will be an advocate for arts and culture and working towards new performance venues as well. One of the things I'd like to do is attract new clean industries and ventures. And at one time, a few years ago, we had been trying to get some interest from an electric vehicle manufacturer, and we're still trying to accomplish that as Ava was working hand in hand with Fiberworks for their bodies. I'd like to promote and lobby for a new regional health center with 24/7 emergency. I'm very concerned about street safety, and I'd especially like to take a look at crosswalk upgrades and a little bit more safety in the school loading zones, and perhaps in the future we should be looking at photo radar. I'll also be an advocate for seniors, and I'd like to open discussions on a possible new public marina with boat ramp facilities. My experience with the town of Sylvan Lake, I'm currently on MPC, Municipal Planning Commission. I've sat on the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, the Economic Development Plan Steering Committee, Centennial Park Design Steering Committee, the Town Down Area G Redevelopment Steering Committee, and also the Friends of Sylvan Lake Provincial Park. Other community service, I recently finished a 5-year term with the Red Deer Symphony Orchestra on the executive, and I was also Concert Hall Committee Chair there. I've sat on, years ago, the Red Deer Economic Development Steering Committee, and currently a member of the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 212 here in Sylvan Lake. I'm a council member at St. Mary's St. Timothy's Anglican Church, and I'm an advisor for the Macomb Performing Arts Center Foundation. Also, I'd like to move forward in the future to form a Sylvan Lake Arts Alliance. And I thank you very much for listening, and I hope I can count on your vote on October 21st. Thank you.
Jason Payne.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Jas Payne, and on October 21st, I respectfully request your vote for Councillor of Sylvan Lake. I'm pleased to take this opportunity to address my beliefs in regards to municipal government. I believe in the responsibility of municipal government to answer to the public, not guard information and decision-making processes from the public. I believe in a responsible, accountable, and fiscally frugal government that carefully safeguards the responsibility it has to spend tax dollars and does so with regard to public needs in its spending practice. I believe that as we grow, and we will grow, municipality has the responsibility to lobby and petition and work with provincial government and county partners to serve the needs of its citizens, understanding that many decisions are a provincial mandate and municipalities that not always get to say. We still need to work in partnership with and demand support from provincial government. Municipal government needs to be the voice of the citizens, not developers and not the servant of a provincial master. This is an amazing community. We need to acknowledge that the 13,000 people that live here and live here every day contribute to a vibrant economy. However, as a council, we need to look at development that supports the 13,000 Lakers that live here 365 days a year. If we focus on lakeshore and tourism development, we'll always be stuck depending on the weather or a clear lake. I believe that we need to get business and people looking inward and shopping inward. Stop looking down the highway to fulfill our needs. I believe that the people that elect politicians should not have to constantly wonder what the politicians were thinking when they made decisions that affect the community. They are elected to represent your interests. It's their obligation to know what your interests are and to communicate their intent. Not just a message on a bulletin board, but 7 times in 7 different ways. I honestly have no personal agenda, other than to see this town progress in a way that is socially and economically responsible, environmentally sustainable, and mutually beneficial. Not just for the half of us that have moved here in the last 15 years, but for the ones that built the community as well. I'm not a traditionalist, but I'm also not somebody who sees bigger as better. I shop local, I live local. We're growing as a town at a rate of nearly 4% yearly. In 10 years, we're going to have a population of over 20,000. We need to start planning with infrastructure now so that we are proactive, not reactive. Planning and working towards strengthening our water resource, our road infrastructure, all the other parts of our infrastructure. Partnership with county and provincial governments needs to be priority. I want to be sure that the decisions made are in the best interest of the people that elect me. In short, I just don't want to have to ask the question any longer, what were they thinking when they decided on that? I believe strong communication is necessary. I have been in this community for 6 years. I'm a high school teacher. I'm a guidance counselor. I just want the best for direction. Thank you.
Matt Preet.
Thank you and good evening. Is that on? Thank you and good evening, everybody. My name is Matt Preet. Moved to Sylvan Lake about 7.5 years ago. When we came here, my wife said, we're going to stay. And this is the first place in 20 years of marriage that where we live, she didn't want to live somewhere else. So we're Sylvan Lakers now for good. We have 4 kids. Our oldest is 12. Our youngest is 4. And I guess the answer to the very first question is, no, I'm not running for council because I need a quiet place to go on a Monday night. It is busy around our house, but that's not the reason I'm running. The reason I got started, I've been interested in politics for many, many years. And the reason I got started in this process basically boils down to where I live. We live up in Pierview, right up against those trees back on the Crestview development that we're going to be taking out. And basically the process of development and how that works. It was a week before the plan was the public hearing, before we found out that those trees were going to be taken out. And so I got involved in that process to try and save those trees. And the interesting part to me was I spoke in front of council on that issue for 25 minutes through 2 different sessions. And in 25 minutes of time, I never had a single question asked of me. And I thought, gee, maybe they just don't like me. So I went back to another couple of public hearings, and I sat through one public hearing. They spoke for 1 hour and 10 minutes, and council never asked a single question of any of the people doing presentation. And I went to another, and it's 35 minutes, never asked a single question. Okay? And then you hear all this talking about communication and engagement, you know. How do you go and not hear from, or not ask anybody at that council meeting a single question, and they're going to walk out the door feeling like they were engaged? I certainly didn't, okay? To me, engagement and communication starts right in council chambers. That's where it's got to happen, okay? The other thing is, I'm a logistics guy. I love logistics. I love about how things work and things to flow. And we have, honestly, poor logistics. And an example is lake access. Yes, the marina was private. It was irresponsible of the town, in my opinion, to approve that development without planning for parking. Okay, so that's done. Where do we go from here? We're not going to have boat access for next year. So what do? We send them over to Sunbreaker Cove. Now they launch their boat in the lake, and we have nowhere for them to come and park their boat and come into town and use our services. And then we wonder why our downtown is dying. That's the logistics kind of things that we have to figure out. We have to have a way, for people to be able to come and use our services, and we have to understand the flow of those people. I think it's important to look at that and manage that, and those are some of the things I want to take the opportunity to bring to council. Thank you.
Chris Lust.
Is this on? It is. In countless ways, Sylvan Lake is a great community, yet our unique central location provides both opportunities and challenges, with over 80% of the entire population of Alberta within a 2-hour drive of our town. Our fast-growing community, mixed with a rich tradition in tourism, creates tension between those of us who live here and those we attract to enjoy our beautiful lake and lovely town. It is always a balancing act. 3 priority areas emerge as we move forward. These include strategic downtown revitalization, economic policies, and creating a sustainable community. Let's begin with the downtown. Strategic revitalization of the downtown is developed through a partnership between your businesses and council. The shopping district becomes a vibrant, happening place that brings Sylvan Lake people back over and over and wows our visitors. There needs to be lots of activity all year round, specialty businesses that fill niche markets, cultural activities and events that entertain and engage. Imagine every weekend bustling with activity, with lots of people walking the street, socializing. More people on the street means more people spending money, means businesses are sustainable. Okay, let's look at the second area. Setting policy and processes for a healthy business environment is also a high priority. Retaining existing businesses, as well as encouraging new enterprises, is essential to the economic health and business expansion of our community. And in turn, this will increase our non-residential tax base. Think what it would look like in your life: a multiplex, a new curling rink, a cultural center, a spray park, all within our financial means to build and operate. A strategic economic development plan will enhance a healthy business environment. The third and final element is creating a sustainable community. We need new approaches in the design of our neighborhoods, which will create a sense of place. Let's encourage walking and biking, build open spaces that invite people to gather, housing types for all levels of income and stages of life, trails that take us to school, the park, the corner store, or church, and then loop back home. Planning practices that focus on creating a sustainable community ensures that Sylvan Lake feels like home. Would you like a councillor that will provide proven collaborative leadership and community development expertise? I offer to you 40 years of municipal experience to help our community embrace the balancing act we face.
Dale Plant.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, fellow candidates. My name is Dale Plant, and I'm extremely excited to stand before you tonight to ask for your support in my bid for re-election for Town Council in Sylvan Lake. Over the past 3 years on Council, I've been putting my energy, my expertise, and indeed my heart into being the best effective councillor that I can be. I didn't shy away from heavy workloads as a councillor, task force, and a council representative to numerous committees, which are so crucial. I want to represent this town because I have a great desire to be part of a preferable future here for Sylvan Lake. And because I believe that through all of my life experiences, through my business, community life, my church, and through my volunteering, that I can now bring an opinion to the table that is solid and can help make this town make good decisions. And because I'm a team player, that I'm not afraid to lock arms with others and make decisions together. In addition, I maximize my time by doing numerous other courses to train myself in municipal politics. There is very little in this community that I'm not involved in or supportive of. Why? Because I take this job on council very seriously. It's not for the faint-hearted, the timid, the apathetic, or people who need a soapbox or a title. I have asked the hard questions, and I certainly have done my homework on your behalf over this term. That is my job. I have a brochure that everyone is given tonight, and I will not take time to read the whole thing, but here's some things that I'm committed to. Urgent care, it must be, it's a demand. Strategic planning to balance our residential and non-residential tax base, and I have so much more that we can do on this. Attraction of economic and development drivers and initiatives, partnerships with the revitalized, attractive downtown center and Lakeshore District. Thorough review of the pattern book and our annexation plans. I believe that we have missed the boat on lots of the opportunities. Short and long-term fiscal stewardship, including the 10-year achievable plan, 10-year capital plan, which is achievable. Fair and equitable cost-sharing agreements with the counties and the villages. I don't believe you should ride the train unless you bought a ticket. Affordable housing options for seniors and lower-income families. Teaming up with our school boards and stretching our resources and combining things. There are so much more that we can do as a town when we start to partner with others. Communication has been talked a lot, and I believe that we can do a much better job of finding ways to communicate with you. I am so committed to this task, and I'm going to put everything I have into it. I've asked you to check it out, all the articles I put on Facebook at Dale for Council. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been only given 3 minutes tonight, but I'm asking you for 4 years. Thank you.
And Wendy Sauvageau.
Can everybody hear me? I have a very bad cold, so please bear with me. I'd like to say good evening and thank you all for being here. My name is Wendy Sauvageau and I am running for Town Council. My background is over 30 years with government, both municipal and provincial and federal. I started out as a 411 operator many years ago in Edmonton. And through my inquisitiveness, I ended up becoming the coordinator for the town of Sherwood Park, which then volunteered me to work for the city of Edmonton. I ended up doing many civic awards banquets. I have learned a lot. Budgeting, deadline, pressure, accountability. Those are everyday things for me. It's what I do daily. When anybody who has children or grandchildren, just juggling them is a real task. When I look at what we have and how we have grown as a community here, it's when I moved here, there was nothing on the other side of Sylvan's. I drive down now and I think, wow, what are we going to be like in 10 years? Where are we going? If I'm elected, we have in-place plans. It's working within that infrastructure to do the best for our community that we can possibly do with the budget that we've been given. Urgent care is coming. We are one of the 22 in Alberta that will get it. It's not 24 hours what we wanted. It's going to be a 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Doesn't mean we can't keep pushing and saying, hey, we need that. A new arrival here recently told me, and she's a single parent of 3, $1,000 it cost her to get an ambulance in here for her daughter who had an asthma attack. Safety is very primary to me. I live on the corner, right across from the library, and I see all the traffic in the summer. And sometimes it's amazing what I can see out my window. Safety for me, accountability, my children. I would like to see less vandalism. What I have seen happening in this community alone scares the crap out of me. When you think that people are breaking in right next door here, the children's toys are destroyed. Why can we not have a camera? Why can we not have more police drive-bys? Those are things that I am very interested in. You work with the government, you work with the plans that are in place, and you do the best you can with what you have, but you go that step further to let them say, hey, I'm here. You know that squeaky wheel? Well, sometimes it does get answered. I am a negotiator. I have worked for numerous years with negotiating with governments and employees. I ask for your support on October the 21st to vote me in as a town councillor that I may benefit everyone who lives in our community not just the tourists who come to it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, candidates. Before we move on to the questions, I would like to introduce two individuals. Our school trustees are here as well this evening, and I would ask that they stand up when I say the names. Joanne Matika and Jackie Swanson. Unfortunately, we can't include them in the forum, which 10 is already a handful. But they will be here to answer any questions you have during the break, and they've assured me they will stick around and answer any questions you have at the end of the evening. So we begin. Again, each question will be answered by 3 candidates. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to respond. First question, I'll ask Neil Evans to answer initially. And this is regarding integrity and supporting local business. As each of you talk about integrity in the job and the need to support local business, the question is, where did each of you get your campaign signs?
I got my campaign signs from Minuteman Press in Red Deer, and Dan and Shelley are both residents of Sylvan Lake, and I've known them for years. Short answer.
Chris Lust? The question is buying local, and where did you get your signs?
I bought my signs from a company in Red Deer, and also the owner of that company is a resident of Sylvan Lake.
Okay. And Jazz Payne, why don't we put you on the hot spot here?
I bought mine from a guy named Monty Lancio, lives on Westview Drive. He owns that company called Sir Lancelot Signs.
Just a thought here. Some of these questions may be very specific and seem like yes or no answers. Please feel free to eat up a few seconds of our time. Business development. What are your plans to attract new businesses to all areas of Sylvan Lake, not just the downtown core? And for that one, I think I'll begin with Graham Parsons.
Okay, that's part of the economic development strategy. We have annexed, we are in the process of annexing some industrial land in the east to make our light industrial much bigger, more attractive for business, and that is a very important portion of attracting non-residential tax base. I do believe we have to look at our developmental restrictions on attracting these businesses. The businesses are there to make a profit, and we have to look at basically the commercial sector to do all this.
Thank you. Megan Chernoff.
I think this is so important to attract new businesses to town. This brings jobs into our community. One of the ways I think that we can address this is making the process a little bit easier and more welcoming for new companies to come into town when they're looking to get started here. Thank you.
Matt Preet.
think the first key is to understand that we're so focused on tourism business in town here that we have put so much energy and focus into tourism that we've missed out on some of the industrial things that we should have. I was in Ponoka about 3 weeks ago, and they had a population of 5,200, I think it is, and they have at least 3 times the industrial base in Ponoka that we have in Sylvan Lake. And so we've missed the boat on industrial, bringing those people in. So we have to figure out a way to bring industrial businesses in here. And so that's part of it. That's a whole driver. That drives our retail and all those things. We can't focus on just retail. We've got to bring some industrial in here. And then when we go downtown, we have to have an anchor down there. The days of being able to make a business run on 2 months of the year are gone. The cost of doing business is just too high to make it happen on 2 months of the year. So we need an anchor down in the downtown core that's going to bring people down there 365 days a year. And as soon as we have that, businesses will set up down there because they know they've got traffic coming through. And that's what's really hurting us down there right now, is that you just can't make a living down there on 2 months. You have to have year-round traffic. I would give you an example, but I don't have time. but I think those are 2 things that we've got to focus on, is expanding our industrial base and an anchor downtown.
The next question, what are your views regarding the present bylaws concerning green spaces for commercial and industrial development? And we'll go to Wendy Sauvage for that. I'm just going to call you Wendy from now on.
Just Wendy. Maybe a Tom in the next life. I have to admit, I don't know a lot about this question. Doesn't mean I'm not willing to learn. Doesn't mean I'm not willing to open the door and say, hey, what is that? We have a lot of green space. I love the green space that we have. If you drive around Sylvan, the communities that are opening up now, even the subdivisions, they've managed to keep a green space. What it has to do with industrial? Don't know. Putting businesses on it? Don't like it. Put a walking path? I would like to see, if you've been in Renton, they've got gorgeous walking paths where you can sit down and people communicate. It encourages people. So if that's what we're asking, that's what I'm in favor of. Thank you.
Rick Grimson.
This question came up early in the term of the past council in the industrial area. Some of the developers were concerned that asking for 10% of the landmass was excessive. Council looked at it and agreed. 10% is a lot of green space for a commercial area. It was reduced to a lower number with flexibility left up to the individual to increase or decrease it as they see fit. It seems to be a reasonable solution. It seems to work. For the commercial areas, most of them are located in a direct control district, and it's a matter of negotiation. It's, in a lot of cases, it's my understanding it's left up to the landowner to negotiate with the planning department, with the town, on what's reasonable and what's presentable and what works for them. Thank you.
This next question regarding the pattern book. Would you be willing to open the pattern book for revisions and improvements? Dale, we'll let you take first crack.
Anytime you have a growing community, the needs are going to change. When a pattern book was created, I believe that is a great document. There's an awful lot of things in there that are absolutely going to help us. But I am absolutely in favor of the review of the pattern book because I don't believe that one size fits all. I don't believe that you can take some of the patterns from other towns and automatically implement them into Sylvan Lake and say they work. I believe that we need to take a look at them on an individual basis. I also believe that you can't take whole zones of an area and say everything fits that whole area. Because even within our downtown sector, into our Lakeshore district, there are specific streets, I believe, that are exempt to certain things in the pattern book. What we want is higher density, and that was the purpose of it. Also uniformity and a look. I totally agree with that it brings up the values of all the properties. But I also believe it has to have something that gets the buy-in from existing owners. There's no sense in us implementing a pattern book if we're not going to get buy-in from people who are already the owners and begin to work towards something that's consistent. All we're doing then is penalizing the people that want to build something new, and we're not making the other people do anything about it or set a timeline for it to get it done. So I believe the pattern book needs to be seriously reviewed, and then what we need to do is come up with something with a working document that's got flex in it so that we don't chase away people just because our pattern board doesn't fit.
Charlie Everest?
Could you just repeat the question for me, please?
Certainly. Sylvan Lake has a pattern book. Would you be open to or willing to open the pattern book for revisions and improvements?
Yes, 100%. I'd definitely 100% be open to review and make some changes in the pattern book. I think certain individuals and certain businesses need to have their own say, or some of their own say, on what they want to do with their buildings and the way that they're going to look. I think north end of the tracks, it's very, very hard for any new developer or any business to open and run a business according to that pattern book. It definitely needs to be changed and revised with some of the needs of the community. Thank you.
Jazz Payne.
I think it's important for most of us to kind of get a grip as to what the pattern book is before we talk too much about it. I think for those of you who don't know, and 3 months ago I didn't know what the pattern book was, it's a prescribed set of guidelines for businesses to how they're supposed to look and how they're supposed to fit into the plan of what downtown is and what really the rest of Sylvan is. If you look at the new town hall, it fits to a T exactly what the prescribed look should be. And if you look at what that is, that's a fairly big prescription for a company to have to accept if they come to town and they want to build their company. I would totally be open to the idea. I think anytime you put restrictions or prescriptions on something, you take away all the flexibility, all the ability to negotiate. And I think that's where the issue is if we have a company that wants to come here and they have to fit that look, that's a big cost. It's also restricted as to size and how tall buildings can be, how short buildings can be. We need to be significantly more flexible. The pattern book should be used as a guide, not a hammer for people. And I think if we can do that, if we can open it up to negotiation, it's significantly better. We need to send a message to developers that Sylvan Lake's open for business, and we're not willing to simply say, you do it our way or you don't do it at all, because that's going to stop people from coming.
Rogers Telecommunications has applied to put a tower on the west side of 60th Street where there's potential annexation in the future. What is your position on Rogers applying for approval on this location? Christine? Chris, my apologies.
Quite honestly, I'm not sure. I know that having towers adjacent to certain areas can cause some people some angst, and it's probably something that we need to take some look at. The other side of it too is that if we want to have that kind of capability close to our community and available to our community, we have to look at it seriously and see if it's something that's appropriate. I guess the other part of it too is looking at what is going to be around it and making sure that when the planning is done in terms of setbacks and things like that, so that it doesn't become an eyesore in the community, and also that the people that are adjacent to it are impacted by it. So I would think that there probably need to be some kind of consultation in terms of where we're looking at putting it and looking, Like, I don't know if there's options in terms of where it might be, but that might be part of it as well.
Charlie Everest.
On which side of 60th was it going?
On the west side.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of towers, and if that's what they're looking for. If there was a tower to be put up there, I'd probably be against it. And if it did happen, it would have to be blended in with the community. I think there's certain health risks. They still haven't figured out what those are, what the capability of cell towers can do. And yeah, I just probably wouldn't be for it, that's all.
Dale Plant.
Well, obviously, the immediate thing is that it's not in the town of Sylvan Lake, so it would be in a proposed annexed area. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm all for free enterprise. As far as I'm concerned, that if there was appropriate measures done and guidelines set in place, and it brought a better service to the people in Sylvan Lake, I have no issue at all with moving forward with something like that that's going to be appropriate. Obviously, we have measures in place. We're not going to allow somebody to just come into town, put up their tower wherever they want. We have towers now on our own property here within our boundaries, and we have very good working relationships with them. They come before council. So I haven't seen no reason whatsoever that we couldn't find out something very appropriate, something tasteful. Nobody likes towers, but the fact of the matter is what we're talking about is also service. If that brings something extra to the town, let's bring it on.
How do you plan on keeping up with the social services and needs in our community to match the population group? Matt Preet.
That's an interesting question for me to answer. I've been very fortunate with my family to have had very little need for social services in our family. And so I understand that there's early childhood development programs, there's programs for, there's provincial programs that are meant for that kind of stuff. There's kinder care, there's different things that are obviously necessary programs, okay? My focus on social services has to include the family. We talk about early childhood development. I'm not in favor of taking the child away from the family element to try and fix them outside of the family. I think if you're going to have a social service and a child requires service, that there needs to be a service for the parent as well. When the child comes in for education, the parent comes in for education as well. As a parent, I know when I get really frustrated with my kids, I revert back to the way I was raised. And there's some of the things that my parents did that I didn't want to do with my children. And so, in order to break that cycle, you need education. And that's part of that's part of the reason for social services, is to help break those cycles that aren't healthy. And so it needs to include the entire family in those social services programs. I would certainly be anything that does that. I would vigorously support from a social services standpoint. Thank you.
Graham Parsons.
Well, in this town, in this community, we have a tremendous social service network background. FCSS, I sat on the FCSS board for a year, and I learned far more than I had known before. These are services that have to have our support and council support. Any new programs that are coming out, anything that can come and help these soft services gets my support all the time, and it does mostly with council, because those are the services that need the support in the community, because they are community-wide.
Megan Chernoff.
I currently sit on FCSS, so social services is something that is right on the forefront of my mind. I also sit on the Alberta Association of FCSS, and one of our biggest mandates is to increase advocacy to the provincial government. So one of the interesting things is our population has grown by immense amounts over the last number of years, and we haven't received that same amount of growth in our funding, if at all, in many areas. So I think one of the key parts of that is really advocating and letting them know how important this is and how much we need that additional money to continue on with our social services in town. Thank you.
What is your opinion on the town borrowing funds for the fire hall multiplex and other developments? Neil Evans.
I think with interest rates the way they are right now, there isn't a better time that I can think of than to borrow for these particular projects. Projects that we need to accomplish, we need to put them in place, and in my opinion, it's a smart move to borrow those funds now and before interest rates go back up again. Thank you.
Rick Grimson.
I'm not opposed to borrowing money for necessary services that you mentioned. As a matter of fact, I think it would be irresponsible for a municipality not to borrow on, to try and raise it from current taxation revenue. These services are necessary, rates are favorable, now would be a good time to do it. And we have to grow the corporation to meet the needs of our citizens. Thank you.
Wendy, why don't you take a stab at that one? What is your opinion on the town borrowing funds for the fire hall multiplex and other developments? Developments.
I am fully in favor of borrowing the money at this particular time. I'm going to parrot these two. The lending rate is the best it's been. I don't know if any of you have a mortgage. You know what the rates are. If you're borrowing money for things, now's the time to do it. The fire hall, at the rate we're growing, it's not a want, it's a mandatory need. You have to supply them with the things. When that fire goes off and those guys are out there, you want to know that they've got the equipment, they've got the trucks, they've got the ladders to get to where they need to be. And without borrowing that money, we're going to be pedaling down the street with our antiquated equipment. So you betcha on for anything along that line that is going to help our community. And if now is the time to borrow it, if we're looking at what we've got, borrow it now before it starts to go up again. Thanks.
A related question has to do with debt, taxes, and rising taxes. What is your position on the residential commercial mix of our tax base? Is the residential too high? Is the commercial base too low? How do you propose to gain more industrial tax base? We'll start that one with Rick Grimson.
The current split is, I believe, approximately 87% residential, 32% industrial. Huge spread. That has to change. An ideal situation would be 60-40. 70-30 is livable. I think what has to happen, and is happening, is the town has to annex additional properties, both on both sides of town to accommodate that growth. The land mass has to be there, and once that happens, things will fall into place with the current economic development initiatives that we have going on. Thank you.
Matt Preet.
Yeah, my understanding is the split is 87-13. The one thing I know for sure is that we can't increase or reduce that split by taxing our businesses more than what they're being taxed now. We have a very high mill rate compared to other communities, and that may be one of the things that's holding our industrial area back. from businesses wanting to move into town. It's expensive. I know a small business owner that pays $13,000 a year in property tax, and if you do the math on that, he has to sell based on a 25% margin. He has to sell $104,000 worth of product just to pay his taxes before he takes $1 home for himself. So raising business taxes is not a solution to this. Okay, this is a product of not growing our industrial base over the years. This is a product of focusing on tourism and using that. And so we've got to work on industrial development, which means annexing lands, which means opening up places, means making it easier for business to do business here. And that's really, Jazz, I think, said it best when he said, we got to let people know that we're open for business. We don't manufacture hardly anything in Sylvan Lake. We need to build something. We need to bring some more service companies in. There's lots of things going on out in the country, in central Alberta, and we're known as a place to come for the weekend, not a place to come and do business. Thank you.
Megan Chernoff?
I would kind of echo that thought. I think a big key to balancing that out, because we are way off target compared to a lot of our neighboring municipalities, is just to send that message that we're open for business, that we're welcoming new businesses to come into town and to look at starting up new businesses in our industrial areas. I think there is room in some places for this, but we just haven't maybe made the process as easy as it should be for them, and I hope that we can help that along. Thank you.
What would you like to see as future plans for youth programs and facilities? Graham Parsons.
Well, future programs, I am a big proponent of investing in our youth. I come from Camrose, where we had a recreation director who, that was his mandate, investing in the youth and upgrading programs, not just programs and facilities, but the one facility we are lacking with ball diamonds and whatnot. The one facility that we're getting, and I can speak very well on it, is the multiplex. And for 40 years, I've sat in the arena on any given Monday, Tuesday, Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning, and there's nobody around during the winter. Now we're getting a multiplex that's going to be a community center, and it's going to have, we're just replacing the rink. There's nothing new about the hockey rink. It's just a replacement. But what we're getting there is a vibrant community center that's going to bring seniors down, youth down, activities down, people downtown. That's what a community center is, and it's going to be a vibrant building. That's the first focus. Then we have to focus on the rest. But programming, investing in our youth. Thank you.
Neil Evans.
Well, as I said earlier, I'm very much an advocate for arts and culture, and I believe that our youth should have a balance in their lives. And arts and culture is one area that should be part of their upbringing, part of what they learn, what they experience as they grow up. So I think it's imperative for us to look at new performance spaces. Hopefully in the new multiplex we'll have performance space available there. I'm not privy to that information yet, but certainly as we move forward, I think we need to take into consideration a better balance in our young people's upbringing.
Dale.
Well, Graham's already done a great job on the communiplex. I'm not going to call it a multiplex. I think it will be a communiplex. There's going to be a lot of things going on there that's going to be absolutely awesome. But I think there's so many other things we can do. I think we'd like to be able to see more creative parks right within the neighborhood so they don't have to come down at all. I believe there's lots of things we can do with the existing parks that would encourage the kids to get out to there. I'd love to see that. Obviously, we can continue to build all of our trail system and our bike system and recreation. I'm telling you what, it's one of the highlights coming in here. People talk about it. It's a great investment, and people are using them. And so I think we've done some great things there as well. We just got to get the kids out. And also there's some more new sports fields. Some of the fields that we have, I think, are being used for the wrong things. Unfortunately, we've got ball diamonds that the balls are going not over the fence, but into the next door yards. I think there's some things we can do to make them a little bit more practical. We've already built a brand new skate park, and I think it's pretty exciting. And by the way, I am putting my endorsement on getting a splash park here because I think it would be absolutely amazing. I was over at Black Falls, I was the one, and I'm telling you how they're used. Anything that would get families out, spending time outside, doing recreation, culture, let's go for it. It's worth the investment because not only does it look after the kids that are here, but I'm telling you, people are watching our community and they'll say, hey, when I moved to Sylvan, that's why I'm moving. It's going to be awesome.
And this will be the last question for this section of the evening. What would you promote, or how would you promote, to attract cultural and festival events, and do you personally feel an importance in promoting these events? We'll start with Charlie Everest.
Well, right now we already have Jazz in the Lake. We have the Shake the Lake. To promote them, I believe that we still have $100,000 from the Heart of the Town Association for a bandstand. To promote these, we'd have to get our community groups all put together and market them as best we possibly can. Whether we go through the internet, television, same way that we promote any other business, radio, newspaper, get the local community involved and as many volunteers as we possibly could. Thank you.
Jazz Payne.
I really wanted that last question. Got that. If you want to keep a community busy, if you want to keep them happy, you got to keep them busy doing stuff. And what I love about Sylvan Lake is we do have a lot of real cool stuff going on. We've got, of course, Shake the Lake. Sean's over there nodding his head. You got Shake the Lake. We have the Jazz Festival. I don't know if those of you who have been a part of the Art and Soul at the high school, it's an amazing celebration. Right now we have rehearsals going on for our play in the next little while. It simply makes our town better. And a little while ago, one of my students' moms, Alex Palm's mom, she's sitting over there, she talked about how cool it would be to have a festival center. And I would love to see that happen. If you want to make celebrations in this town bigger, you got to have a place to have them. You got to have something that's going to draw people here. And when you do have that location, people are going to come. You're going to have celebrations. You're going to have these festivals. And I think if we don't celebrate the arts, we have a tendency to go the wrong direction. We have a tendency to go in a negative direction. You got to celebrate the arts. You got to celebrate kids. You got to celebrate what's happening in our community. And it's happening now, but it can happen more. I know it can. It's going to happen when we have a facility. I really hope the new multiplex, communityplex, whatever you want to call it, has that facility built in, because it's going to be a great place if we do. And if we do have it, they will come. I guarantee it.
Chris Lust.
I'm glad I got a question that I know something about. I, like Neil, am a big supporter of the arts. In the time that I've been in Sylvan Lake, I've had the fortune of getting to know a number of artists in the community. We have a really rich artistic community, but I think it's a little scattered, and I think that one of the things I'd like to see within the town's operations is that there's more coordination and cooperative kinds of things happening so that we can really celebrate the talent that we have both within the youth and our adult community. I had an opportunity while I was working in Lacombe to start the Lacombe Art Exhibit and Sale, and one of the things that was really important to me was that it was an opportunity for emerging artists to exhibit their work. And it's amazing over the 10, 12 years that that's been going, how much the arts in that community has blossomed because of that particular event. And I'm really proud to have been a part of that. I'd also like to see us look really seriously at some cultural facilities. I know that the multiplex is one of the things that we're looking at, but there's also been a number of people that have talked about looking at getting us some cultural facilities, and that's certainly an area that I would support.
We're going to break pattern here with one more candidate, so we have everybody answering 3 questions. Wendy, your thoughts?
Hockey, 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 hockey. Everybody talks about hockey. Yep, itchy. I was lucky enough to work with some of the people who wanted a fundraiser. And what I got, believe it or not, was I got 2 national hockey teams to come to town, and they did an exhibition game. We could do that here. That would be so phenomenal. Have it outside on the ice. Programs for kids, I think we need them. Performing arts is something that's dear to my heart. I was involved in them, love them, have been in plays. I think it involves the whole community. And I am also looking forward to having a multiplex, a uniplex, whatever you want to call it, an omniplex, where we can have a center that has performing arts. How many of you here have been to Spring Sing? It's phenomenal, the amount of work that they put into it. Jackie at the school every year puts on just a fabulous play with those kids, and the talent that we have. So yes, I want to encourage that. I worked with the town of Banff with the Fine Arts program, so I'm very familiar. I have a lot of ins of pulling people, and I'm not afraid to pick up the phone and say, hey, we're in Sylvan Lake, you want to come down and do something? Advertise, communicate, put it up on bulletin boards, go to Sobeys and put it up. We have this coming to town. It will bring people in if you go knock on doors and say, come on down. That gets the youth involved, it gets all of us involved.
And that bell marks the beginning of our break. Stretch your legs, seek out the school trustees, and we'll reconvene in about 10 minutes. A question and answer period, and this is one where we will have the opportunity, or each of you will have the opportunity to raise your hand. I'll come to you with the mic, and you get to select 1/3 of the candidates who will answer your question. So if you have a question that's not been answered or not been answered to your satisfaction, put your hand up. During the break, I was approached by a couple of audience members that had questions and made a choice. The first question I will ask on their behalf is, when you drive down Highway 20, coming into Sylvan Lake, on the east side of the road, there are some unsightly businesses. Is there anything that can be done to improve the image of Sylvan Lake on that major corridor into and around town? And I was asked to address this initially to Jace. I'm sorry, I watched too much Duck Dynasty.
So do I. As far as unsightly businesses, unfortunately, people have the right to do business. They have the right to be able to earn a dollar. As far as having the right to strew your garbage around or your unsightly parts. Does that sound right? Can I just pass this to somebody else? There's got to be a compromise, and that compromise comes to it's negotiation. It's talking to those business owners. I would contend that most of those business owners have never been spoken to about it, and if they have, it's not with the hammer, it's with the hand. It's let's see if we can make it a better environment. I don't think anyone's opposed to making the world look a little better. I think if we talk, communicate, do the right thing by the business, and letting them understand that it's not a process of trying to control, it's a process of trying to work cooperatively. And if we want to make our place look better, let's work together to do it. But it starts with communication. It really does.
Rick Grimson, your thoughts?
Well, the businesses in question have been in in that location for quite a number of years, and unfortunately, the land use bylaw of the day allowed that to happen. And again, unfortunately, legislation isn't retroactive, so options I think are limited. I suppose the town could consider a cost sharing with the property owners, tree plantings, some type of screening, those types of initiative. And eventually these properties are going to change hands, hopefully, and become something else. Thank you.
Megan Chernoff.
I definitely think the first step, as Jazz said, is to see if we can work with these businesses to help beautify the property and make it a little bit less unsightly. But I know a big part of this comes into play when it does change ownership. These come across our desk at municipal planning quite often, and that's when we can really set in some new guidelines for fencing, for landscaping, for things that can make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. So on a go-forward basis, we can have some stricter guidelines on that to ensure that we're not encouraging any additional businesses to look unsightly like that. Thank you.
Our first question from the floor.
The question is this: has the town pattern book and the town planning department been a hindrance to enticing new business to Sylvan Lake? And if your answer is yes, how do you change this issue? The first question is to Dale, then Megan, and then Jazz. And maybe one more person wants to jump in.
My work here is done.
Wow. To say they've been a hindrance. You know what? We talked a little bit about the pattern book. My first position on that is, anytime you have a document that's been created with all the hours that have been placed into it, all the input that was done, due process, and you've got a document, it becomes personal. And yes, that could get in the way. But I think it's really important is that when we're reviewing things, we say, what is the best for the town now? And I believe that there's an open-mindedness there. I believe that we can have a planning department that also sees where we're going. Then what you want is no disconnect between economic development and planning. So the planning is saying, well, this is the way it is, take it or leave it. But we have an economic development trying to bring in things that perhaps need tweaking. So I think it's really important that we have a planning department that has that flex, and that we don't make them wrong just because a document like the pattern book is unpacked. It doesn't make it a wrong document. It doesn't mean somebody did something wrong. What it means is we've got to do some adjustment. And so I see that right now all over town, we've just got that opportunity right now to be able to say what fits town as we're moving forward. You know, we've been able to create a lot of plans, 10-year capital plans and things. Why? Because we're projecting forward. And our planning department, I believe it's really important that they get the input from council so that they're getting direction from us. And I really think that's absolutely crucial. We can't expect our administration to do their job if council hasn't set a clear direction for them to go. And that's why dialogue is so important. We need to be flexible. My favorite saying is, he who is flexible will not be bent out of shape.
Megan, you're up.
Popular tonight. I find the current pattern book very restrictive. I understand the reasoning behind it. I want a beautiful town, just like I'm sure everybody does. But I think holding businesses accountable to these 4 really strict patterns makes it difficult for them to come in and do business. I think that we can be more open to this so that we can widen the ranges of businesses who may be interested in setting up shop with Sylvan Lake, and allow them to pick styles that are still beautiful but match their budget, their business, and their current needs. Thank you.
It's actually a great question because I'm curious myself as to whether or not business has been turned away because of the pattern book. I would be really interested to know if that's the case, and I look at Mayor Sampson for an answer, but I'm not actually asking a question. I'm just curious. For me, if we're going to grow as a community, and we all know in this room that we're going to grow as a community, both literally and figuratively, we need to accept that things are going to be a little bit different. And if things are going to be different in the years that come, we need diversity and flexibility to be part of those negotiations. Using something like the pattern book as a hammer to say, this is the way things have to be, I can't imagine as a thinker that people aren't going to go, wait a second. We can't afford to put that much budget into making things look the way you want them to look or make them be the way you want them to be. So I would think that at some point somebody is going to look down the road to Red Deer or Rocky or Innisfail or somewhere else. And if that's ever even a possibility, my thought is we need to proactively look at the pattern book and say, look, we don't want this to happen. These are suggestions we want. This is how we'd like our town to look, because I would love it to look like Whistler. But at what cost? And if the cost is going to be to deter business, I don't want that to happen. What I would really love to see is that flexibility in negotiation, that flexibility in going forward. If we have that, I think we're going to attract rather than detract. Thank you.
Okay, another bashful citizen has asked me to ask the question for them. It appears that everyone is in favor of a multiplex, cultural center, etc. The question is, however, what about the logistics of that? Parking, access, getting the seniors in, people who have special needs. Are they going to have to come through the back door because that's the only place we can fit handicap stalls? All those kinds of details. I'm going to ask Matt to address that first.
Thank you. I 100% believe that Sylvan Lake needs a multiplex, but I 100% believe that downtown and that location is the wrong spot for it. It's pretty simple to me. Logistically wise, it's thinking way too small for a multiplex. You just don't have the space down there to build what the community needs. The multiplex is designed for residents, not for tourists. There's no need for that multiplex to be downtown. It needs to be out. If you've ever been to Lloydminster, they opened up a new multiplex there a few years ago, and it is a fabulous building. It was built on the edge of town, and that entire area has now built up with commercial and residential, and it has become a focus and a central part of that town. Building a multiplex downtown in this location is not the right plan. Building a 500-person community center along with that is not the right plan. You're not going to rent that out for weddings and those kinds of things. People are not going to go to the hockey rink to get married, honestly. And so I support the idea and the concept of a multiplex. I think we need to think much bigger. We need to think much better. It needs to include sports. It needs to include arts and culture. It needs to have a big movie screen on the side so our youth have somewhere to go to watch a movie at night outside and they've got something to do. It needs to have a hockey rink, a full-time hockey rink, outside so that the kids can go out and play outside, hockey outside in the wintertime and play ball hockey in the summertime, and they don't require all the supervision. We need to think bigger and better on the multiplex. It's too restrictive where their plan is right now.
Neil Evans?
I agree wholeheartedly with what was just said. I know the project that I'm working on right now with the Lacombe Performing Arts Society, the area, the pit has got lots and lots of room for parking, lots of room for a larger complex that spreads out nicely. I think we have to look at a larger land base. Really, the downtown one is just too small. It may well be good for another arena, but I don't see it as being a serious possibility for something larger that we're going to need in the future.
Graham Parsons.
How could we tell that was coming? Anyway, the plans for larger facilities are in the future, and the current council has discussed them, and it is a vision for those things, larger field houses, whatnot, a hub on the outskirts of town or on the edge of town where there is more space. But right now, we're dealt with what we have. We have an old rink, and it'll be the saddest day of my life when it goes down because I've been there forever. But it is needed for baby steps now. We have to replace the current facility and build it and make it whatever better, enhance it, and use it for an anchor for downtown. And that's what it is. It keeps the people down there. And I think the question was something about parking and accessibility. That's up to the multiplex task force, the planning. They are looking at different things on access and points of entrance and whatnot for the seniors. So that's all in the planning. It's just basically an anchor for downtown and the people that are down there. And I do agree with Matt and Neil that we have to have a vision for outside of town or on the edge. So that's what the vision is.
Hello. I don't know how many of you know that the library was recently a host celebration site for Alberta Culture Days. And the library does a lot of youth programming, but I couldn't help but notice that the library was not mentioned when talking about future plans for arts and culture and just community involvement. So I was wondering what you think the future role of the library should be in arts and culture and youth programming and development. And I would like to ask Dale, Megan, and Graham, and if possible, Jas.
Well, I'm a big supporter of getting kids an education and being opportunities for them. And I know having gone over in the library and been able to be part of one of the days, and they're doing the reading days and things like that, I think it's absolutely run. We've got a phenomenal staff over here in our town. We've also now embarked on taking where all the archives was, beginning to expand our library, and I think that's just an absolute indication that we are more than willing to stay supportive of it. We need kids reading. I don't believe for a moment that libraries are outdated. I believe that our processes are changing. We're getting more computers. I'd love to be able to see it, more things that will be added there. So one of the questions they asked us, are we in favor of lobbying for more funding? I absolutely would be behind that, because I think it's absolutely, again, one of those things that sows back into the kids in our community. And libraries aren't just for kids. I believe that there's so many more that we can do to have adults back in, and I think a lot of adults need to read a lot more than the children sometimes. So I just really think this is something we can get right behind as a town. And if a new facility down the road warrants, great. But at this point, we've already proven that we're behind it in a very big way, and I think we would continue on for sure.
Was that Graham you wanted next?
Graham or Megan?
How about Megan first, and then we'll go to Graham.
I am a huge supporter of the library. I attend and have attended in the past many events there. One of the most fun recent ones was the zombie walk, where we ran around Lakeshore Drive shooting Nerf guns at each other. They provide such an amazing host of activities for kids of all ages, and I think it's something that as a town we all need to support and back and see what you need to kind of increase those programs further. I learned something new at the community fair not too long ago, that the library actually has e-readers and all kinds of things for us adults as well, which is something I've always centered around kid programming in my head, and I think there's some really great things that we can access for all ages. Thank you.
This proactive approach, these pamphlets and whatnot, they're handed out, and regularly they come over from the library to post things at the arena and programs that they really go out to look to engage the community, and it's very important. I too very much support any future funding, anything more that we can access for a library. It's not just for the kids, it's an affordable point of access for all the information for everybody, young, old, and we have a very good library staff, board, and they are very proactive, as I said, and it's just a great facility, and I'm certain as the town grows, we will need better facilities.
Sorry, sure.
Hello? Okay. I think this is kind of an unfair question for me because I'm a high school English teacher. So really, the whole idea of having the library being central to your community is something I truly believe is necessary. The saddest thing in the world, though, is every high school I've been in over the last 10 years, the libraries are getting smaller, which turns around and makes your community library that much more important. Because as we move forward technologically, things like e-readers and online readers and reading on your iPad and reading on your iPhone, what I've noticed, the trend over the last couple of years is kids are reading less. Even though the mode by which you can read, it's significantly greater than it's ever been, kids are reading less. We need to support our libraries. One of the things that one idea, Tara, an absolutely amazing librarian at the high school, she recently said that we need to make our library bigger. It would be cool if we could somehow make it so that they were together. Like, there's an idea for us. You know, really, why not partner with the schools to increase the capacity of the libraries, to increase the capacity of moving books between kids. Nothing in the world is more important than our kids' education. I believe that more than I believe anything else I've said to you tonight. And if we have the ability to increase, we need to put everything we can, within reason, of course, but everything we can. I absolutely, my last book was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Hello, Ian Ostendi. My question is related to something that creates a lot of tension amongst us in the community. When we try and fit a new town office or a new fire hall, or maybe one day we'll need bus loops even, imagine that. We as a town own no land. We have no ability to do land swaps. We have no ability to say we can build it right there because we own that lot. And whether we want to take the short-term cost of buying land or we want to pay for it down the road, we're going to have to buy land. And so my question is, do you support now building a land bank?
Let's go to Charlie Everest for that one.
Yes, I was just been thinking about this the last couple of days myself. It's being a lake town, it's named after a lake. We have absolutely no land on the lake. I think of getting a land base or some lakeshore land to possibly build a marina or a boat launch or something is 100% necessary, and I think that's an excellent idea. We should, the town should partner or be asking the private sector, the provincial government, somehow we have to acquire some land for Sylvan Lake, definitely.
I think it's really important that we look at sort of the future of our community and where we want to grow. And by purchasing land in advance of development, we're able to purchase it at a less cost than if we wait until the development occurs. Like I can remember when we were putting together the land for CP Blakely School, and that land was right on the verge of being developed, and it cost the town a lot of money at that time. So I think it's prudent to be looking ahead, putting money aside, so that when we're ready to build a major recreation facility, ball diamonds, that kind of thing, the money is there so that we can so that we're able to purchase additional land above and beyond the 10% that's available through subdivisions approvals. So I would agree that it's something that we need to do. Having said that, we also need to look at what the cost of that would be, and it will cost us to do that, but it would cost us less now than later.
Well, I'm fully in favor of purchasing land. As I have stated, we are growing so fast that before we know it, our population is going to double. And what do? Where do we go? If you have not purchased land, you have nothing. We're arguing now, and we're working with the province, and we're working with Red Deer and the Red Deer County and Macomb for 21 to see if we can't get something in there for boat launch. So let's get out, let's be proactive. Let's buy that for down the road. And as Chris said, the property is going to be cheaper now than it is going to be down the road. How many of you bought houses 10 years ago? Look at the cost. Look at the land. So you know that if you're going to purchase now, if we're growing, we need to have land to put something on. And maybe if we did that, we would have a beautiful place to put our new multiplex and not worry about the parking because we would have had the land for it already. So yay team, let's buy land.
My apologies, I got out of position.
Hi. We would like to know what you think your 3 greatest strengths and 3 greatest weaknesses are that you will bring to council. And we would like to ask Megan, Dale, and Matt.
Well, I didn't prep for this one. My biggest strengths, I think, are I'm already involved. I've been involved since I moved here. I love Sylvan Lake. I am so proud to live here, and I think I bring that to all of the work and all of the decisions that I make. I have the experience sitting on FCSS, so I have that side of the experience, but I also have the experience sitting on municipal planning. So I think I have a really well-rounded portfolio. In terms of my biggest weakness, isn't this where in a job interview you're supposed to talk around it so you don't actually give a weakness? I think I learned something about this a long time ago. I don't know that I can answer that. Sorry guys, I'm perfect. Thank you.
I'm fat. How do you follow that up after being perfect? I guess I think my greatest strengths are I'm an extremely hard worker, and when I put my hand to something, I finish the job. And I really feel that that's something that I'm not just a starter, but I'm a finisher. I'm an extremely passionate, die-hard community person. Anybody who knows me, I live and breathe for what's going on in this community, and I think that's a strength. It doesn't matter what kind of group it is, whether it's a church or community, I think that's a strength. And then I think the third strength would probably be that I'm a visionary. I don't just see what we're doing now, but I see where we're going. And I think that's important to have people who are proactive and visionary. As far as weaknesses, well, I think I've probably been known to be a little abrupt. Somebody called me the concrete teddy bear. Pretty direct and straight, and I think sometimes that gets in my way. I think that I can be over-enthusiastic. Sometimes I can run over people that don't think the same way as myself. And so I think being open-minded to other people would be a big help. So there you go. That feels so good.
That's definitely an interesting question. For me, on the strength side, logistics and vision are a big deal for me. Looking and seeing what a project is going to look like, what's the flow going to be, what's going to happen, what's the benefit to the people of town. That stuff is something that I really enjoy doing, and it comes easy to me, I guess, is what I say. Like to say is to look at things and say, this is what's going to come. My other strength is I believe it's a strength. Some people might not believe but I'm not afraid to say the emperor has no clothes. If there's something that I see that's not right, I have no problem opening my mouth and saying, this is not right, we need to figure out something else. It's just not the way that we should do it. It's not benefiting the whole community. It's not in the best interest of the community. I have no problem bringing that up. From a weakness standpoint, I am not a rah-rah guy. I am not I'm pretty calm and laid back and relaxed, and probably too relaxed in some situations. So promotion of certain things is not my strength to be able to do that. And so it would be something that I would have to consult with people that know how to do that, because I wouldn't take that on myself, because I know that's definitely one of my weaknesses, to be able to promote things like that. Thank you.
And my apologies to people who still have questions. We only have time for 2 more questions. So I've got one here and one over there, and that is going to be the end of it. So my apologies if we didn't get to your question.
Hello, my name is Jordan Sinclair, and I first would like to thank everybody that's sitting at those tables up front for standing up and wanting to be making our community a better place and putting their names forward. One thing I like about Sylvan Lake is it's very walkable. And this summer, my wife and I were walking to the Bayview Cafe for brunch on a Sunday, and we noticed a diesel truck idling in front of the big moo. It was about 2 hours later we were walking back, and the truck was still sitting there idling. And I will admit I have a bee in my bonnet about diesels, but we need to have some sort of an anti-idling bylaw, because the environmental damage that vehicles, if a guy's got a gas engine in a truck or a car and they want to warm it up for 10 minutes when it's minus 40, I have no problem with that. But when you have to live beside somebody with a stinky diesel truck, or an example like the one I gave sitting downtown, where vehicles are left idling for hours and hours unnecessarily, I think the town of Sylvan Lake needs to have an anti-idling bylaw. I'd like to know the opinions of Matt, Dale, Rick, and I'm sorry, Charlie, if you guys can answer the questions for me. Thank you very much.
Well, Jordan, this is an interesting question. I think the first question I would ask you is, was it summer or winter? Summer. Summertime? And was there a pet in that vehicle? There was no pet in the vehicle. Okay, so, my sister has a dog, and they go golfing, and they leave their truck running while they go golfing to keep the pet cool. That's what they do. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what they do. So my question was why are they leaving that vehicle running? Okay? You know what, I struggle with this because I'm not a big bylaw for everything guy. I think that education generally is better than bylaws, and I don't think we need to regulate everything. Every move that everybody makes doesn't need to have a bylaw to it. Well, one thing happens one time, and I think we react and put a bylaw in place because one thing happened that wasn't acceptable. And I think if we can just do a little bit better education, we can have less bylaws, and we don't have to react to every little thing that happens with a bylaw. I think we can do it other ways. There's certainly a place for bylaws, but I don't think it needs to be necessary for everyone. So I'm not 100% supportive of anti-idling bylaw. I think that it would be something that I would have to take a very serious look about how restrictive it is before I supported it.
Well, I'm going to tend to disagree a little bit here, because I think there are certain things that need bylaws, otherwise people will do whatever they want. And I think that in that particular instance, take a look at it seriously. Well, obviously, you got to look at it is obviously, can it be enforced? There's no sense setting up bylaws that can't be enforced or putting undue pressure on our own bylaw people. But I do believe we could put up signage around town. There are things that would put warnings out. I think we can do a lot of things besides just being a bylaw. And I just absolutely agree with you. Sometimes when you intrude on somebody else's privacy or enjoyment of the lake or anything else, I believe it's something that we should regulate. We wouldn't allow certain things in other communities, in parts of the community that would be intrusive to the neighbors. And I believe that those kinds of things right now, if we can identify it as being a problem area, let's deal with the exact problem. Let's put on it, because there are people, I'm telling you what, doesn't matter what you say, they're going to do it against it. And I think bylaws gives us the ability to be able to enforce something, and I would be in favor of it.
Jordan, I'm not a big fan of excessive legislation restricting rights of people and what they want to be doing. But, however, at a previous address a few years ago, our house was in very close proximity to a coffee shop. And believe me, there is nothing worse in the world and the rattle of a diesel engine and the stink of the exhaust. Every time the furnace comes on, it sucks it in. Kids got sick, the dog got sick. I would absolutely support it.
And I am a fan of Idle No More. Where I live, there is a gentleman that does the exact same thing. He idles the truck for 45 minutes every morning trying to warm it up. And it's needless. It shouldn't be done. I believe in educating people, talking to your neighbors, letting people know that it doesn't have to happen. But if it carries on and it's bugging the public and the citizens of Sylvan Lake, then if we're going to have to enforce something or signage or just educate people somehow. Thank you. So this is our last question prior to the candidates' chance to sum up their position.
Hello, my name is Sue George. This question is for Matt, Dale, and Graham. I would like to know what is going to happen and when are we going to get anything going in this town in regards for our health? And that is the urgent care facility. Because there's been a lot of signs gone out there and they've sat out there and nobody has heard anything about it going anywhere.
Well, that's a good question. I think the first thing you always hear is, well, that's provincial responsibility, and what that means is provincial money. It doesn't mean that it's not a town responsibility. And I think that the town has to figure out a way to get this done. I am not against a P3 arrangement where private money comes in and builds the facility and then it's leased back to the province in order to get that facility done. We have a mentality that right now I think that government has to build everything in this town, and I think that's a mistake. I think we can attract private money to build some of these facilities, and the cost to the town, or the cost to the people of the town, would be the same or less, and not have to have that big bunch of money put up front. The other thing is private companies will always build cheaper than what the public can. I have a friend of mine that's a engineer, and he does planning. He's a city engineer. He does planning for roads and stuff. And I asked him the question. I said, how much more do you add on to the cost when you're planning for a city or a town than you do for a private company? And he says 18% is the number. And I said, why is that? He said, because government's so difficult to deal with. And he said, private business, we can get it done sooner. So right off the top, we can save 18% on the cost of building a facility by having it done by private money. And so I think that that's the quickest way to get it done. Thank you.
We're well aware of the process that's been going on with the urgent care and all of the work that's been done by our doctors, and I am absolutely supportive of the steps that have been taken. What I am not willing to do is to sit idly by the side. If we can get passed over on this family care center, if there's any reason why anything is going, I believe we take another step, because I don't believe for a moment that this is something we just simply want. We absolutely need an urgent care facility here. We absolutely want the very best because we deserve it in Sylvan Lake. We're 13,000 people, and I applaud the committee that's been working on this. I'm telling you what, it's been tireless, but there are channels that we have to take. We want to have, and we need to have an urgent care in town, and I believe that we need to be well informed so how the residents can get involved in the lobbying. And even as a realtor, I'm telling you to put on my hat. If you want to attract people to come to Sylvan Lake, you better have the facilities that they're looking for. And urgent care is absolutely crucial. If you want to keep your seniors being able to stay in Sylvan Lake, urgent care is crucial. And I don't think either one of them we want to give up. Thank you.
First off, I need urgent care. And I, too, applaud the committee that's been going on it. The doctors in this town have been working at this for 20 years, and that's a long time. And they've gone through frustration after frustration after frustration. The committee that got together 2-3 years ago has worked tirelessly. I've been going through every step. It is getting closer, and we better be getting it. I'm sure we are going to be getting the family care center that it's going to be modeled for us. Once we get that center modeled for us, we have to go for the little bitty steps, go further, so we do get 24-hour care. Now, it is my understanding that it's not the bricks and mortar that is going to cost money. Our urgent care center is not being built. We just remodel. It's very inexpensive. It's very attractive to the government, and I think that's why they're looking at it. It's just simply remodeling of existing facilities and get it going. Eventually down the road, perhaps that will happen. It's very, very important, and everybody here agrees, so it's a pretty simple question to answer.
But how many years down the road are we looking at?
It's getting closer. I mean, it's in a couple of months. It's going to be at the Alberta Health decision.
Thank you, candidates, and thank you to the folks who had questions. That was a very robust set of questions. It was great. Now we get to the summary, and as I said at the beginning, the last shall be first. So we go to Wendy. You have 2 minutes.
It's a difficult decision. You've got a great panel up here. Most of us are in favor of urgent care. It is not a want, it is a need. I thought I had heard that the government had 22 facilities that were opening up in Alberta, and we were going to be one of them. We just don't have a date yet. I support the committee that's working with that. I would really like to see a splash park here. The one that they've got in Black Falls is awesome. They can turn it into a skating rink in the winter. So you've got a facility that is there that could be used all year round by your local people. It doesn't have to be someone else. And maybe if we have that in a downtown core, what will happen is you'll have a business to support it because people will want coffee, they might want tea, they might want to have a breakfast. Again, it's getting those people interested to come into the downtown core. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice here. Basically, I'm accountable, I'm reliable, I have deadlines, I meet commitments, I answer questions, I'm open-minded, I'm a team player. And if there's something I don't know, I check. And Susan gave me a funny look a little while ago, so I think I said something that might not have been correct, so I'll be checking some more facts tonight. I am a great fact finder, and I keep going until I do have the facts. If you call me, if you address me, and I am on Facebook at Wendy for Council, for the Town Council, check and see what's on there, because it has a lot more to say than what I can say at the moment. But thank you for your time and your patience. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you to the Chamber for providing the opportunity tonight, and all of you for giving up your Friday evening. The few minutes allocated tonight to address you certainly doesn't give me an opportunity to adequately unpack or explain all the things that I have in my heart and plans that I have for Sylvan Lake. We have an amazing community here in Sylvan Lake. 13,000 people call this place home. And ladies and gentlemen, we are not just a bedroom community. I get sickened every time I hear that, because we're not just a bedroom community, and when we represent ourselves as one, we don't attract what we need. We are way more than that. We're well past that, and I believe that we have opportunities, we have youth, we have creativity, we have vision here in town, and I believe that's what about Sylvan. And contrary to the view of many people in town, we're not just a tourist town. We went past that a long time ago. When I came here as a kid, it was a tourist town. But it's not anymore. And when people come here, they don't come because it's a tourist town, they come because it's a great town. And it has phenomenal facilities, and we have recreations. So there's a lot of things about Sylvan Lake that are absolutely attractive. And I think these myths have got to be stopped. My conviction is that we must never sell out Sylvan with short-sighted, easy gains or development at any cost. But I also want to say that we must never stop selling Sylvan and all that it has to offer. We will have and continue to attract numerous other businesses, diverse businesses, employment opportunities and developers. And I believe that we have frustrated many developers who are coming to this town because of the way that they have been treated. I believe that it's time for us to let them know that we're not only open for business, but when they come here, we're not going to hit them over the head with a bill that they can't afford. I believe this town has way more to do, and we can do a lot more. So I believe that in 100 years of foundations under this town, I'm proud of that. I hope you are. But I want to be on the council that leads this town into the next 4 years. On October 21st, I ask you to endorse my bid for re-election to council with your ex. Thank you.
Chris?
So I'd like to thank all of you for coming out this evening, and I'm really pleased to see that we had a good response on a Friday night on a long weekend. My focus will be to make decisions that are in the best interest of the community as a whole. At the end of the day, your community is my community. I live here too, met my husband, married, and have raised my family here. Like you, I love this community, and my commitment is to help us balance our quality of life with the fiscal realities of the day. I've served as your first recreation director, 16 years in a similar position with the City of Lacombe, and now I'm currently 7 years in as a strategist with the City of Red Deer. I've also served on countless community boards and committees. 40 years of municipal service. So I've given you 40 years, there's 40 years of municipal service under my belt. If you want a municipal councillor with experience, knowledge, and a thoughtful strategic approach to decisions that will impact us now and into the future, on October 21st, vote for downtown revitalization, healthy economic practices, and a sustainable community. Vote for Chris Lust.
Matt.
Thank you. Well, I think the first thing that's obvious is that we have a lot of work to do. There's a ton of things that need to happen. We need to have downtown revitalization. We need to bring in better industrial tax base and those types of things. You can probably tell from my conversation tonight that I'm pro-business. I'm pro-growth. I believe in thinking big and having a big vision of things, and I also believe that we don't have to settle for things that come from the outside. I believe we spend way too much money on consultants that go outside and bring in their influence from another city when we could just do a homegrown decision right here. We don't need to spend $60,000 on tourism. When we have enough tourists coming in the summertime, we need to figure out how to bring them here in the wintertime. And I think that needs to be a homegrown decision. I think we can do more of that and spend less money on those types of things. And I think that we just need to get control of what we've got going on. We need to think bigger. We need to think as a whole for the big picture of the residents, and turn our focus away so much from just being focused on it as a tourism town. And Dale mentioned that he doesn't think it is, but I think it is. I think it's still pretty focused on tourism, what we have to do here. So we got to think different. We got to plan different. We got to open things up to new ideas and out of the box thinking, so that we can get what we need, rather than waiting for our provincial overlords to come with money so that we can build what we want. I think we have to go after it a little bit harder and come up with creative solutions that we can take to the province, and they can say, hey, this is something that's a little bit different, let's do it, and they can run things off of that as well. We just have to, I don't think we need to do the same thing as everybody else in the country. And so I appreciate your support. If you feel that I represent your views, I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Jazz?
Not Jace.
I learned.
Learning. Hey, thank you very much for coming. I had a whole thing prepared, and I've decided I'm not going to say it. Because I've learned here tremendously in this last couple hours. And let me tell you, those hours ticked by. But here's what I think. Urgent care, downtown revitalization, council accountability, communication, environmental sustainability, reasonable taxation, attracting business. All these things are things that we're all concerned about. Because the same as the 10 of us up here, you guys wouldn't be here if you didn't love this community. And what we want for this community is the best possible future. As I mentioned before, I work with children, I work with kids, and for me, my biggest goal in life is making sure that every single one of those kids, when they leave my school, they leave with the best possible opportunities for their future. And that's what I want for Sylvan Lake. Sylvan Lake is just one big kid. You know, we're growing, we're changing, we're moving. Things are constantly going. I will steal a little bit from what I had written. One of the things that frustrates me is surprises and confusion. I'm surprised and frustrated by not knowing what was going on and finding out about things too late. So communication is huge to me. The question, you know, what was the thought behind that decision, is one that I've had to answer in campaigning over and over and over again. People want to know. They want to know what's happening. So, you know, the future needs to be fostered. But not at the cost of tradition, not at the cost of community, not at the cost of what we believe is right and well. This community is wonderful. We work hard, we play hard, we have the opportunity to have the best possible future. So I leave you with this. What's important to you? If you feel that I can speak on your behalf, if you feel that you believe in my passion, you believe in the desire I have to see this community go forward, then on October 21st, you know, take my name off. Thank you.
Before people start getting ready to leave, putting on jackets and so on, I would like to ask that before we leave tonight, pick up a couple of chairs and give the committee a bit of a hand so they're not here till 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And with that, we'll move on to number 5, Neil Evans.
Well, you know, for many years, I've had this vision in my mind about a beautiful amphitheater at the end of the pier. The stumbling block with that is the pier belongs to the province. And I think it's time that the town of Sylvan Lake began negotiating seriously with the province of Alberta to take control of Sylvan Lake Provincial Park. We need that land base, not just for the development of a new amphitheater. It would also be a place where we could develop a new marina with a launch ramp, so on and so forth. So I think that particular land base, as small as it is crucial. And I think we could also ask the province what their annual operating budget was for that particular facility and ask them for grant money to help run that facility long term. Thank you.
Charlie Everest. In closing, I'd like to thank you again for taking the time to come and listen. If elected, I know I'd learn fast, work hard, and do what's right to effectively represent this town. I'd like to see the town back as a town for all seasons, a destination in the winter, the spring, the summer, and the fall. It's a great town to live in all seasons. And this is where I'll be raising my family. I will support a splash park, urgent care, the rec center. I think it's very important to find a spot for the marina and boat launch. Downtown revitalization, and I'm into pro-business. I'd like to get some more business in the town. Thank you.
Graham Parsons.
First, as everybody else, it's a great panel. We have some great candidates. I want to wish everybody the best of luck. I've lived in this town for 40 years, raised my family here. It's a great town. And we've had a wonderful centennial that has brought the community together, more than I've ever seen in the 40 years I've been here. I've seen lots of change. It was a very small town. It was 1,500 when I got here. And I saw tremendous change and pretty wonderful change. I'm a hardworking guy. I'm an honest guy. If you want come and talk to me. I'm approachable all the time. Your problems, your concerns. I know in council it's tough. We hear all the information. We get it all. We know the track record of everything, all the decisions that are being made, but it's not being conveyed to you, obviously. And that's where communication, accountability, and transparency comes in. That's why I said communicating. We have to use that as best we can. We've had a communication strategy. Hopefully that's going to work. We have to tell everybody, make sure that people know what the plans are coming down the pipe. I love this town, always have. It's a great place to live. That's why everybody's moved here. We are better than the other communities in central Alberta, and basically it's because of that beautiful water that we have down there. It's very convenient, it's wonderful. We have to protect that lake. It's ours. A day like today, I walk down the beach every day, and it's what anchors our town, so we have to protect that. So, if you need any information, I'm open, approachable. Thank you very much.
Megan Chernoff.
Thank you for coming. We only had an opportunity to touch on so few topics that I wanted to talk about tonight. A few of them we did get to talk about, but I was dying for you to ask them for me. So I really invite you to come up afterwards and take a couple minutes to chat with me further. You can also go to meganchernoff.com. It will lead you to my Facebook page, where I've been tracking everything I've been up to and my views on this town and how I'd like to continue to see it grow. I'm running for council with a firm commitment to growing our town in a positive, progressive manner. I have a solid balance between seeing a need for controlled development, fiscal responsibility, and a passion for social services. If elected, I will use my community experience along with previous board experience to working towards making Sylvan Lake a proud, vibrant, and stable community that I am proud and excited to call my home. On October 21st, I respectfully ask that you consider voting Megan Chernoff, but more than anything, I hope that you get out and take the time to vote. Thank you.
And the last word goes to Greg Grimson.
The first 100 years of Sylvan Lake history has been successful, and as we move into the second 100 years, careful consideration has to be given to ensure our continued growth and prosperity. I think everybody, all the candidates here agree with that statement. I believe that my professional designation in my professional background in municipal development and successful management skills will assist the town in achieving these skills. I feel that I will bring to the table professionalism. I have a degree. I'm a certified local government management from the University of Alberta. In excess of 30 years experience, 17 of those years spent right here in Salt Lake as town manager. I have a strong sense of fiscal responsibility. I wouldn't support any frivolous expenditures. I'm not going to approve an investment that would put your money at risk by buying magic beans. Respectful of my colleagues and the town's external municipal relationships. I have enthusiasm, a desire to see our municipal corporation move forward. In conclusion, I believe that I have the necessary skills and desires to make a difference in our municipality's future. I think that together we can continue to make Sylvan Lake a model community within the province of Alberta where people want to be. On October 21st, I respectfully request your support in my re-election. Thank you.
Thank you again for coming out tonight, to our candidates and to all of you. This was just a taste of the issues and the thoughts of the candidates, so I think you owe it to yourselves to dig deeper as citizens and see what the candidates have to say further in the coming days. And by all means, on October 21st, as the kids say, rock the vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, I just wanted to, something I've been noticing here tonight as I've been watching over the crowd is that, and from the candidates, thank you very much for coming tonight. This has been a wonderful, wonderful event. We appreciate you all. The one thing that I'm noticing is that there's passion. This town has a lot of passion. You wouldn't all be here if it wasn't for it. So thank you very much for coming out. Get out and vote on the 21st. And candidates, I would imagine you're available for questions. Wonderful. Thank you, folks. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for mix up. Yeah, not enough material. What do you think? Hi, how are you?
Nobody expects you to know everything. I appreciate some of the others. That's cool. I say it like it is.
If you want to talk about that, I know you're going to be busy for the next little bit.
Yes.
Afterwards, for sure.
Okay.
And like things that I thought of.
Will do. That's what I'd love to get.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. For sure.
What's going to be